Hello, hello, hello. Hey, lips. It's your girl. And I am happy. I'm ecstatic. I'm elated. This is probably one of the best days of my life. But, um, welcome to the Miss Mouthy podcast. If you're tuning in for the first time, this is a podcast that's all about the narrative and non binary narrative and experiences and the allies that love and support us. And if you're a returning set of lips, thank you for rocking. Coming to pop your shit with your girl. Um, Happy Pride Month, everybody. So everybody celebrate yourself, your uniqueness, your authenticity to be yourself and show up. And even if you're someone who has not come all the way um to comfortability with self, still celebrate that because you are at a beginning stage in your life. And so this episode is going to be new beginnings and endings. Okay. In life, oftentimes we get these new beginnings. So we may start new jobs, new school, travel to new cities, embark on new journeys with self. And but we also have endings. We also have chapters in which we have to let go of things, let go of relationships, move on. Oftentimes we don't talk about the grieving processes of letting things go that are not in the afterlife, right? So, I wanted to make this episode my farewell, my ending chapter, but my new beginnings to something great. I am stepping away from research in the University of Michigan. Um, and stepping more into communications and media strategies that makes sense and more aligned to what I do here at Mouthy. I want to be able to put myself first. I think that's important to recognize if you're ever in a point in your life where you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what am I doing? What is my purpose? Who am I? Make space for you to discover what your gift is, being able to really grow in your ability to make mistakes. Hell, I had to make so many mistakes while doing research and in activism, right? Like coming into Detroit and realizing that um, is there really space for trans women to be counted in research? And the reality was the research was needed, but the policies in which it was kind of took a longer spiel than what I did. So what I'm going to have is my coworkers once they get into the studio, they're going to come and talk, and we're going to talk about the origin of how we started this work together, how it all came about, what's next for us as an org. I think it's truly amazing to see how we've been able to grow and the things that we've been able to come through public health. And just the community partnerships that we've been able to develop and what that looks like. So I'm super, super excited. But I also get to this point where I'm nervous because I'm stepping into a whole new realm, right? Where I'm not familiar with what I'm necessarily doing, but I believe in myself enough to know that, like, I'm about to do great shit in the comms world. Like, I'm ready to take comm and media to a whole nother level and really just show up in the space of who Miss Mouthy is and launch my brand in a whole way that makes sense to really affect the change that I want to see at the capacity that I want to see it. So never once question why you have to go through these chapters. I think when I first started in research at the university, I was in survival mode, y'all. Like if I'm being real with y'all, I was at a point where, baby, I was just trying to get a paycheck. And that's okay. That sometimes in our life right now, we could be at a place where we just need to make sure our rent is paid, our utilities is on, we fed, and we kind of look semi cute. Okay. And that's okay. But you don't have to stay in that place. You do not have to stay in a place where you're only just working just to make ends meet. There is more room for you to be able to grow and trust the process. I know people say that all the time, but the reality is the process will really um build your skills out for you to like learn what you need to learn. It will connect you to people that's honestly going to propel you forward or make those meaningful connections you need. And then life will point you in the direction that you need to go to next. So whenever you get to a point that you're like, I'm at a standstill. No, you're not. You're in hibernation. You're in this moment that when you need that energy to propel forward, it's gonna take off like a rocket. I did not imagine that I would be able to be where I'm at and to be able to like dictate what I want for my life, right? That's a beautiful feeling to be able to step away, one in good rapport with your employer, but also like sit back and look at all the work that you've been able to accomplish over the last 4 years. So I'm only honored that like I have an amazing team and these people that trusted in my ability to show up, gave me an opportunity because that's really important. We don't talk about how oftentimes that if you're a person of color, sometimes you just need an opportunity. You just need one or a few people to believe in you and let you relish in your greatness. That's all you need. Who we got on here? Hey, everybody tuning in. Maisha Brown. Um, it's so good to see you. I appreciate your support as well. So I'm excited for all the prize events that's going on. Currently, I went to the Detroit Tigers Pride game. What was that? Wednesday, Thursday? I think it was Thursday. And I had enjoyed myself. Baseball is not really my cup of tea, but I could appreciate the ambiance of going to the Tiger Stadium and like just having a good time. Um, I'm excited for Ferndale Pride this weekend and be able to be in community and meet everybody and especially see people on show and those things. But think about when you think about the next stage in your career, what is it that you want to do? Don't let your job work you. Don't let your career move you. If it is causing for you to have like, y'all know how we be like, every day you go to a job and you're like, damn, why am I here? No, no, that is not the job for you. You need to go cultivate your passion. You need to go find what your purpose is. Like, you can, and I'm not saying it's just gonna come to you and fall out the sky because it took me a very long time to realize that, like, I love talking to people. I love hearing people's stories. I like to connect folks to people and like do that. But I felt like because I was a trans woman that I only had to do trans specific work. I felt like the only thing people wanted to hear from me was my trauma response stories all the time. The only shit I was getting booked on was sitting on panels and like, oh, the pain is so hurtful. But it wasn't. It wasn't. At some point, my narrative had changed. And when my narrative changed, my trust and my ability in myself had changed. And you only can say that you've been down for so long. I'm not down anymore. I don't want to be down anymore. Life is good, you know? And then the days that it's not good, I know it'll be good again at some point, you know? And once we start to believe that the reality is that all these horrible moments we go through, it's temporary. It's very temporary. But I don't want to do a job for money. I don't want to do it for money. I don't want to do it for credibility. I want to do it because it makes me feel good, you know? And it helps people along the way. Anybody who know me knows I'm personally a sweetheart. Well, depending on who you ask, that I'm a sweetheart. But I wanted to ram when I first started Mouthy last year. I did the 7 days of luck with Miss Mouthy, which was my media campaign. But it was the first time that I could give out emergency assistance on my own terms with no strings attached, no limitations, because a lot of this work when you're doing organizing is specific to HIV work. I didn't want to do that. All I know is that I wanted to start off helping trans women be able to get a room, get some food, go to the bar and get a cocktail. Whatever they wanted to spend their $700 on, that was their business. And I wanted to pick 7 women from there. But I had realized how my platform, being in that position, was doing things that I had never dreamed of. I had never dreamed that like a podcast could give out money that could change a woman's life. Like just the sheer fact that one girl was going to school and she was like, oh my God, this came in handy at the time that I needed. Or a girl who experienced a car accident, whatever it was, I was just impacted that I seen the need for my community and I tried to do something about it with just the skills that I had with talking. So there it is. Um, Once Laura and Christy come in, I definitely want them to introduce themselves with the work that we do over at the university. Yeah, come on in. Look at that. That blessed tongue. Oh, thank you. Y'all so wonderful. Hi. Yes. Come on in and then get right on the microphones and put your headphones on so we can hear each other. My lovely coworkers is in the building. Oh, I'm so glad. Y'all look so beautiful. Yes. Hi.
Is it show us too?
Yep. Yep. So they can see you. Scooty in a little bit
Ooh.
closer to Laura. Yeah. Right there. Wow. So that's going to be your camera right here. Yes. Yes.
All right.
Yes. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay.
Thank you so much for having
Of course, of
us.
course. How would y'all drive coming in?
It was good.
Okay.
Good. Hit a little traffic, but
Okay. That's
yeah.
okay. I'm just glad y'all safe. That's all that matters.
Thank
So I was just telling everybody about when starting this work, how I've been able to watch it grow from what we started, but introduce people, let them know your name, your pronouns, and what you do at the university.
All right. Well, my name is Laura Jadwin Chakmak. I use she, her, hers, and I am a research director for our team, the Resilience and Resistance Collective at the University of Michigan, which is, and we're partnered with Trans Sisters of Color Project for our Love Her Collective, a community academic partnership that we have all been building together
Yes.
these last few years.
Yes.
And I am Christy Gamarel, she, her pronouns. I'm also a member of the Love Her Collective on the researcher side and advocate side, and also a faculty member at the University of Michigan.
Okay, so to give the viewers a little historic history, what got y'all into the type of work that y'all do that brought y'all into the university? Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, I guess we're going to go back in time to 2000,
Okay.
um, when I started out as a research assistant and was working um, and seeing a lot of racism
Hmm.
that was happening in the research projects we were doing. And they were HIV prevention programs or research projects, but we were not asking people their identities correctly. So again, we were just sort of asking people just basic information and really not listening to their stories, and who they were as people. And so I went on and continued to do a little bit more work in different spaces and places, and then came here to the University of Michigan and just got to join this amazing group of women, where we got to really think about who people are and hear their stories and their voices and not erase them and let them lead the work.
Thank you. And Laura, how did you come into this work?
Yeah, so I kind of was getting my master's in public health and really not that interested in research. But then through engaging in some different projects, learned how research can really be community
Hmm.
participatory and kind of grounded and have an advocacy component. And then started working on a project focused on transgender youth and understanding about HIV prevention and care, and got to work with our very good friend Bree
Hey,
Rivera.
Bree.
And then actually got to meet you and
Yes.
start working with you as a member of our community advisory board. And I think really together grew that passion. And so then when Bree had started TSOCP, and she and I were talking about kind of the future and where she wanted that to go, and talking about research and how a lot of the research that focused, that was focusing on trans women didn't include trans women's voices from the
Right.
beginning and as like really leaders in that work.
Hmm.
And so we started kind of brainstorming and scheming about how we could make that happen through a community academic partnership. And that kind of slowly grew with all of the amazing people that have been involved over time.
And you know what's so crazy? Like a Mouthy moment. I go back to when I was on the youth advisory board when I first started. I was so just excited to be in an academic environment that it never even crossed my mind like, oh yeah, maybe one day I'll work for them. The reality was I was like, this is the closest thing I'm ever going to get to ever being into a school like this. So that's what kept coming, making me come back. Like, oh yeah, I kind of feel like I'm gonna just pretend like I'm a student here and stuff like that. But then you actually start to like dive in and you realize how you see other people with so much passion to want to help your community. And I was like, if these people are really serious, this is gonna be really good. And then just to see how much like you, Bree, Gary, Christy, all of y'all just really like divulge so much of your energy into like starting this work. I was just like, oh, this is amazing. I don't know much about research, but if I can like model them, I'm gonna be really, really excited. So I'm really thankful for y'all to be able to like not only like show yourselves in this work, but to be honest, like to be coming from a place of like we cannot not talk about race in the room, but come from like not being a part of the community or seeing if the community is going to accept you. I just appreciate y'all even having the intentionality to want to help a community that you could have like looked over. What did that look like for y'all in the beginning when it was like starting to do this? Did the community have a lot of resistance to like welcoming you?
I think for me, one of the most powerful moments was, Laura and I, we had started, gotten a little teeny bit pot of money to
Yes.
do a few focus groups. And I think one of the most powerful moments, now nobody would have shown up, I don't think, if it was Laura and I just being like, hey,
Yeah.
want to come sit and talk to us and tell us what your needs are and your priorities are? So, of course, Miss Mouthy, you and Sierra,
Hey,
uh,
Cece.
uh, you know, ladies showed up and they were really honest. And I think they trusted us to the extent that you trusted.
Mm-hmm.
You trusted us a little bit,
Yeah.
right? And one of the most powerful moments for me was the honesty. And I don't remember which lady said it, but it was all like, it's all well and good that you two are here, but why is Raquel
Mm-hmm.
not facilitating this group?
Mm-hmm.
That is
Mm-hmm.
what we want. And to me, that that showed a little bit more of what else did we have to do. We have to create
Right.
jobs, we have to create leadership opportunities, we have to create opportunities for people to grow, that this research position is just a stepping stone. And so yeah, I think there's distrust all along the way, but it's been sort of pretty wonderful when people are honest,
Yeah.
that and
I agree.
what they expect and what they want.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
so, Laura, what would it be? What would it be like if people had not really? I guess for me, the thing that made me believe in, well, to trust you was that Bree trusted you, right? And people started to trust y'all because I was there. But had that cycle of opportunity, why is it so important? I guess my question is, why is it so important for research to like invest in community?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, really, like, I think I would, I didn't set out in my career being like, I need to help Black trans women,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like, that,
right.
it was more of really wanting to be an advocate. I started kind of LGBT community broadly and doing HIV prevention and treatment research. But then it was really through building relationships, building both a professional relationship, but real friendships with
Yeah.
Bree and with you,
Yes.
and seeing and learning through, our conversations, like, this need is really here. And, there isn't enough attention, there isn't intentionality
Yeah.
in the research that's being done. And if I have these, connections with this community and these amazing women, and I have connections to this university and know how to do the science, like,
Mm-hmm.
can I just like provide my skills and then learn also from the community and build those partnerships? And so, I think that research, when research is not community engaged and learning from the community, we're just wasting money and sometimes doing more harm.
That's true.
And so I think community engagement is like the underpinning of good, ethical, and valuable research. Otherwise, I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, because when I started, like, even when I go as far as back as being on Ava, like, y'all started with bringing the community to the table, and even still it's bringing the community even after I won't even be here anymore, right? um it's so great to be able to trust the people that you work with in research, because we are giving like vital information, right? Like, we are asking people statuses, we're talking about trauma, and the things that people been through, so it's a level of trust that goes into that. And I just love that, because even when we go back to our initial meeting when we was talking about the Love Her Collective, do y'all want to talk people through what that process had looked like when we all came together and was like, how are we going to start this partnership?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, it feels like
So long ago.
so long ago, but then also like very recent.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think, part of it was that process to build trust. Like
Mhm.
a couple of us had we had some relationships, but not a lot. Christy was new to Michigan.
Right.
Bree, who I had the, strongest relationship with, was no longer leading
Mhm.
Trans Sisters of Color project anymore, and the amazing Liliana was coming on
Mhm.
board, but we didn't have that level of trust. So I think a lot of it was, us just kind of showing up and listening and having those opportunities to build a foundation of the relationships where
Yeah.
we could have that trust, and having some fun together too, like
Yeah.
not making it all about work all the time. Although like COVID has kind of ruined that
Yeah.
like fun socializing aspect, because nobody wants a Zoom happy hour anymore.
Yeah.
2.5 years in, but yeah, I mean, I think, and then what I think more community wise, like really built that groundwork was those focus groups that Christy was
Mhm.
sharing, that, we were able to do a series of focus groups with women from the community. And then, we've followed through as a team
Yeah.
on listening to what people told us. So we learned that one of the biggest priorities was support around mental health and coping with the trauma that folks face. And while we haven't been able yet to do any kind of big structural intervention that's going to actually change the trauma that people are experiencing, we were able to come together. And so we've got our ongoing project of
Yes.
Kicking It with the Girls, which is a group and individual session intervention to help trans women of color learn the skills so that they can help themselves heal from trauma and really kind of take care of their whole selves and find connection with one another. And so, we like listen to what people told us in the focus groups, have been able to do some projects. Of course, research is slow. So,
Yeah.
but I think showing up and kind of, making true on some of those things that we said we were going to do is how we're kind of still slowly building that trust and trying to expand it with the community.
So, in my process of learning how to be a researcher on this project, I've noticed it's been this great debate, and I want y'all to kind of like break it down for the people who might be listening. The difference between qualitative and quantitative um, research.
Ooh, I'm gonna let Laura take that
Okay,
one
no
because she
worries.
is
Look, Laura on fire.
qualitative researcher.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'll admit my bias in that.
Okay.
I do love qualitative research.
Me too. I'm there, right there with you.
But yeah, so I mean, I think a lot of times when we like, if you think about research and you think of like crunching numbers or even kind of lab work and that kind of
Mhm.
stuff, or and I think that can be incredibly meaningful, and it helps kind of give statistics have a lot of power in
Mhm.
describing like a big population or trying to predict what's going to happen, but a lot of times we can't get the nuance. And
Yeah.
so qualitative research is kind of anything that's not numbers. So most often we do like in-depth interviews where we have a conversation with somebody to learn more about their experiences or their perspectives on something, or focus groups where things are just a little more open-ended, and so you're not as, the researcher isn't as directive, but you can really learn, you know, who you're talking to and the community members, like what are your priorities, how would you, you know, put it into your own words, what things do we need to think about, versus when we just do survey research, you have preset response options. And so if we don't know enough from the community to come up with good options that capture people's reality, then I could be giving you a question and there's 4 options, but your option is actually like option number 7 and it's not even on there. So we're not getting accurate information.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. So, Christy, you were coming from San Fran, right?
So I've done a lot of different stops.
Okay.
I was New Jersey to New York to San Francisco,
Yes.
back to New York,
Coast
to Rhode Island,
Okay.
and then my last stop has been here in Michigan. So it's been windy. I still have community partners and close connections in San Francisco, and family there. So
Okay.
I'm there a lot, but it hasn't been my most recent stop.
Okay. I would say, what things have you noticed about Detroit that has been, especially with all the different scopes and community and research that you've noticed here in Detroit, like the immediate needs were?
So my feeling when I think across, because San Francisco is a very different space than Detroit, there is a lot more resources that are poured into meeting the needs of LGBTQ plus communities. There's just highly resourced.
Right.
And when we're in Detroit, we don't have those resources. There is only 1 or 2
Places
clinics
that
you can potentially go see. And that was a huge, that to me was quite stark, because I had only lived in places where there was an abundance. Still not enough, right? Like we need everything to be inclusive, right?
That's true.
But I would say that I still think racism cuts across. And so the Bay Area as well, the Bay Area is such an expensive little bubble. Who can live there, right?
Yeah.
So people in San Francisco are getting pushed further and further from where they can access resources. The one thing I will say that I see in Detroit is the trans women of color who live here and who have been leaders and are here doing amazing things, or who have gone on to do amazing things. That is amazing to me when I think about that. I mean, one of the women that I work closest with in San Francisco, she's a Detroit native.
Yeah.
Akira is from Detroit. Bree, Detroit.
Yeah.
So there's this strength in trans women of color and these leadership that just, I don't know. So there's differences, a lot of them, and also, yeah.
So this is me being mouthy and me being nosy. So when you two had to work together, what strength were y'all recognizing with each other, or did y'all work pairing just like merge in a way that was like amazing? Like how do y'all balance off each other is my question. I always wanted to know that. Like, how did they? Because y'all make such a great dynamic team that I was like, okay, how did that come to be?
I think that has been developing right along with the Love Her Collective. Okay. Yeah, but the first thing that pops into my mind is that Christy goes fast and makes sure we move along, and I slow us down and make sure we get the details.
Boom. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
I think so too. And I think one of the things, or at least I would say, is that, not only is it amazing to have, Raquel, you too, we were a team in this, right? Like our next project we're about to, start, the economic program, that was this was your idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
You
know,
told us
you
what we
told
needed
us
to
what
do
we
next.
needed
Yes.
to do, and I wrote the project and work, but like, and so I move quickly in those ways, and I try to use my skills that I've gained to try to get what we need done.
Right.
And then Laura slows me down.
Mhm.
You slow me down and be like, "Whoa, what was that?" No, and I need that. I need those checks.
Now let's find the way that we implement this with
Mhm.
community in
Mhm.
ways
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
they're gonna,
yeah,
it's gonna be
Yeah.
responsive and
yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say that at the foundation, I think it's that I I trust both of you so much to
Mhm.
be honest with me and to tell me when to stop. And I think we're friends first
Yes.
before like the
Yeah.
work.
Colleagues.
Like,
Yeah.
so,
yeah.
if someone's having a hard time, it has nothing to do with work. It's like, okay, you go take care of
Yeah.
yourself first, and then
Yeah.
that can wait.
So for all of us, we'll answer this. But what was, I guess, what is the most proudest thing or moment without the work we've built out that y'all been able to like? It just relish in.
I think like having the kicking it with the girls groups and
Mhm.
actually
Mhm.
implementing the
Mhm.
fact that we've mostly been able to be in person even though COVID has
Yeah.
hit.
Yeah.
But and there's we're like little flies on the wall, right? And we're, kind of getting the
Mhm.
debrief with all of you amazing facilitators afterwards. But I think and some of the days, some of the times I think are really, really hard. Um, and then there's some of those days where, for all four of you facilitators, where I have, just seen both kind of hearing what the participants are getting out of the
Yeah.
group and then what you all are getting out of the group too. And I know it's such a hard labor of love, but when I see kind of that afterglow that you
Mhm.
each get sometimes when a group goes really well, that just kind of warms my heart.
Good. I would say for me, I really love the fact of seeing four trans women of color employed and like being able to show up in community and even offer a resource, right? So it could be one thing to just facilitate what's handed to us, but there's another thing to make meaningful resources and connect people to like community partners and like I don't know, like I think each one of us ladies that we could see where we were before the Love Her Collective and where we're at now and how it's been able to like really relish in us being able to like set a new precedence with being professional or being able to take care of ourselves or even in moments checking in with each other when something impacts our community, like there's been several calls where like whether a girl's been murdered or we can't find somebody because they're incarcerated, whatever it is, how we all are impacted by that by some means. So
Yeah. I mean, I would also say it's the Kicking It with the Girls program. It's the groups and how much you all, hearing those stories. But I would also say it's those one on one connections that
mm,
each, that you're making, Julissa, Latrice, Harmony, and you're going above and beyond to really, you know, we use this term pure navigation, but I mean, it's the dream of what pure navigation would look like. I mean, people getting their name changed, people
hmm,
being able to go get surgery, people
that part.
getting linked into mental health care, a new healthcare setting that they feel safe in. I mean, and holding their hands and walking them there. I mean,
Hmm.
those to me are the things that give me goosebumps because
Hey, Jaleesa. Yes.
because only you as leaders in this program could do that,
Yeah.
and that is what needs to be replicated and scaled up,
Yes.
so that everybody has those
Yeah.
resources.
Yeah, because that was going to take me into my next question with like researchers and organizations who do this work and may want to model the behaviors of how we started. What will be some key things that you will want them to like take in when it comes to doing this work? I
Um,
love the.
well, I mean, from a researcher perspective, I would say that what I have learned is to you're going to have to be flexible and patient,
Mhm.
and things are not going to go as planned.
Yeah.
And you have to just trust that if you keep chugging along and listening to what your community partners are
And
telling you
lean in.
and lean into it, it will work. It will
Mhm.
be okay, and it will be better than the grant that you initially wrote, because you need that flexibility, and that's something that I think I personally, as the grant writer, have learned in implementing this, is that we created something better than I think, to me, I ever thought was on
We
that
set
piece of
out,
paper.
yeah. What we
So,
set off to think. Yeah.
yeah,
I would say definitely that shit happens. Like, it's one thing to recognize that, like, we talk about the disparities that trans women face all the time, but it's another thing when you still see it. Like, I don't know, this thing that happens where people feel like once trans women get in positions of careers, then we no longer experiences the violence or the harassment. Like, it just magically erased, and it don't. So it was able to see that times four without with all the ladies. Like, it'd be like if one of us is like good and stable, now something else is impacting somebody else in a different type of way. And so it was realizing I love the compassion that y'all have for each and every one of us to be able to like figure out our shit, come back through our work, and move forward collectively. Like, we never left one of the people behind um alone while figuring out what they were needing to be able to go to the next level.
And really, I think like that's just kind of the definition of a good workplace.
Yeah.
We all need that, and
Yeah.
like that support and compassion for one another, and realizing, yeah, what people's circumstances are, because we're not all in the same
Yeah.
circumstances.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is. And like, what are y'all hopes for the next stages of the Love Her Collective and the work that we're doing? I know you talked about the economic grant, which I'm
mhm.
really excited for. But what are some things? I know your dream house, Christy. I know your dream house. It's coming.
Okay.
Tell the people about your dream house. What's
My
your goal?
dream house. So one day I would love it that, the Love Her Collective owned a house, a building in Detroit, where the top floor was housing and the bottom floor was our research community space.
Mm,
Um, because I think it's what I love about some of the work we've been doing now is that we get to work out of Corktown, we get to work out of Ruth Ellis, but I think in some ways it might be nice to also have our own space too. Um, that also was space for people to live as well.
yeah, I love that too because it combats that homelessness that oftentimes shows up throughout our surveys and all the things data collection that we
Hmm.
did.
And then maybe we wouldn't have all the like transportation issues that we have, because we would just, everybody would just
Move right there.
come straight here.
Yeah, yeah,
Not a million different lift rides. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I mean, I think the goal is to keep the Love Her Collective moving and being responsive to what trans women of color in Detroit tell us, is the most immediate need, because that's the only way to do it, and have, um, trans women of color leading
hmm
this,
hmm
as the researchers, as the implementers,
hmm
the designers of the materials, everything.
yeah. What about you, Laura?
Oh, well, I agree with a lot of that. But yeah, I think I'm very sad that you are moving on and taking a new position in a different role. But also, excited about the opportunity to expand our team, and be able to, you know, share some of the skills that I know
Yeah.
with the next woman in the community that really wants to try out research and build a passion for these things. And excited to have a small part in providing some of those skills and opportunities.
And let me say this. I have to give credit where credit is due. Mouthy would not be as far as it is if it wasn't for you ladies like pouring into me and like hell, y'all got me a voice recorder, y'all got me a microphone, y'all have set me up for success in like this like I guess premonition way where y'all kind of knew at some point it would be coming. But sometimes we don't believe in self. Sometimes our realities allow us to forget that we have the potential to grow way beyond our expectations. So I want to thank both of y'all for that. So I know as much as it seems sad, and it also is a good thing because I've been able to like grow in a way, and I'm excited for the next woman to come in and be able to like take this shit to a whole nother level and the nuances of like new eyes, new visions, right? So y'all work can be able to like look amazing in a way that like I probably could only see it from a 1987 perspective. Okay. So yeah. Um,
Well, and I hope that you recognize how much we have learned and grown from our relationship with you and like being able to work together so
yeah.
closely these last 3 years.
Yes.
Longer, really, but
Yeah.
yeah, that I feel like I have just gained so much from you and learned so much. And, that's also exciting to know that we'll be able to learn from somebody else as well.
Yes. And just know that I'm like only a call away. Like I'm only gonna always be around and like y'all got some amazing leaders. Like y'all got some
Thank you.
girls that is gonna kick ass, but also talk a little bit about the opportunity when it comes to somebody who might be interested in wanting to join the Love Her Collective team. Because I know people of our community, they hear research, they hear academia, and they get kind of like intimidated. It's intimidating. Like I know for me, when I first started, I was like, "Hell, I don't think I can do this. I don't know why I'm here." But just expand on like what it would be like, or like what somebody could expect if they want to apply for the role.
Hmm.
Christy, you are
Really?
funny.
Who's gonna go
I know.
first?
I'll start a little.
Okay.
So one of the, I think just as Laura said, we learned a lot in this whole situation, right? Because
Hmm.
Ann Arbor, the University of Michigan, is quite far.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot farther than you realize from Detroit and the resources and services that people need. And so I think some of the things that we've learned is that coming to the University of Michigan regularly is not it's
Feasible.
not feasible and
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. And so, I think, once in a while maybe team meetings, but it's
Hmm.
really a position that's designed to be in Detroit to you know lead some of the projects that you know kicking it with the girls
Hmm.
is still going. We have other ones that are starting, and then so it's Laura can speak a little bit more to it, but I think we've learned a lot about, at times I think, Raquel, you were doing everything,
Hmm.
right? And so we've also been figuring out, well, how can we make it so that Raquel doesn't feel like that you're feeling so overwhelmed, have to travel back and forth and do X, Y, and Z while trying to manage X, Y, and Z. And like,
Right.
how do we support whoever comes into this position in a way that they're not running all over the
Hmm.
place and
Hmm.
having to take on too many things
Yeah.
that are stretched too thin. So those are some things we're thinking about. And Laura can probably speak a little bit more to the nuances of that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, really this position is one where we're gonna like provide trainings and support and mentorship for all of those research components.
Yes.
And so we're not looking for somebody who has a ton of research
Hmm.
experience or already is just going to like jump in and know everything. We're absolutely looking for somebody who is like ready to learn,
Hmm.
really cares about the community, wants to connect with the community, and is kind of willing to build relationships with us so that we can learn from them and kind of figure out the right fit for, each person. I think that is becomes a part of our team, whether in our Love Her Collective group, students that work with us, different things, like, ourselves, like, we try to find what are, where are the areas that we shine, where are the areas that we want to grow, and support each other in that. And then, either the areas that we really dislike, trying to make them either as palatable as
Hmm.
possible, or find somebody else that really likes to do that. And so, I think that just having like relationships at the center and building those connections with one another, is kind of at the foundation of it. And
Yeah.
then, like, if somebody is, committed and ready to learn, they'll get all the tools they need to succeed.
Yeah. So just taking a moment. Hey, Audra. Hey, Bree. Hey, Sheila. Hey, Jaleesa. She said, "Thank you, ladies." So yeah, how could somebody apply if they were interested?
Yeah, so folks should reach out to me, Laura Jedwin Chakmak.
Mm-hmm.
My email is ljadwin@umich.edu, and I'm sure maybe we could share our promotional flyer
Yes.
after and some of the materials
Yes. So check
after.
out on. I'll put it on the Mouthy page, and I'll put it on my personal page as well, and y'all can be able to get it that way as well. But also know that you're getting family members. Okay, like these ladies are people who, in moments of despair, moments that has been like my most trying moment, I have turned to. So I don't just the people at the university is not just people that like, oh, you just see on a 9 to 5. Like they really care. Like when I say that, like I've never had coworkers who like I just know unequivocally loves me. Like I think that's what's imperative of like the Love Her Collective. Like when you love women besides their past, their experiences, their biases. Like y'all really been able to allow trans women to show up wholly and learn not only research but how to pour back into our communities and give room for ourselves to heal in the same process. So I'm just so excited for what y'all about to be doing. What y'all got, know that I'm always be keeping my eyes out, and whoever comes on, you gotta treat them. You gotta treat them like I'm gonna treat them. Okay, treat me like you treat me. For real, because these are my girls and I love them. But I know like y'all have just great work to do ahead of y'all, and I'm super excited. Plus, I've been seeing like social media and people buzzing. They ready to like apply and all of that, and great. Yeah, talk a little bit about our team that we have now for people who um may want to know. So we got Wes and we got Eni. Yes.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I really. So our, it's like, kind of our core Love Her Collective
Mhm.
team has really been you, Jaleesa Abad, Latrice Ward, Harmony Harris, Liliana Reyes, Christy, and myself, Sierra
Mhm.
Bubbles. And Wes King is an amazing
I know
PhD
Wes.
student who is our
Yes.
data manager and supports us in all of our data needs. Gary Harper is our colleague who has always been supportive of
Yes.
our efforts. And yeah, Ini Abasi Ubong is our one of the newest members of our team
The
who's
rock star.
yeah, been doing some of our exit interviews and getting engaged.
Yes.
Yeah, and
And now Caroline is coming in.
yes,
She's going to help out just in the just as she's a master's student. And she's going to learn, to do some of the coordination activities just while we're waiting to, she's jumping in to pitch in and help
Mhm.
until we can find someone.
Okay. Well, with this being said, on Mouthy, we like to give pearls of wisdom. So, what would be either the best advice you ever got or some advice you would like to give for someone coming on to the team, the world of research, or academia? And you can be honest and transparent.
some advice that we would want to give somebody coming into this
Or the best
world
advice
of
you ever got. Yeah.
research? Oh, hmm. I think those of us that are drawn to this work really do it out of a passion and a love. And sometimes that's really hard. It can be really hard work. I think we all know that. And but I think it's that love and that passion and the connections for me, the relationships that just make it so important and so rewarding. And I think even in the hardest moments, I try to imagine, like, can I do anything else? And I don't think so, because this is,
What you
just,
love.
yeah. So I think, when you find that thing that lights that passion that you are drawn to, listen to it.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess, and I might have. I think there's maybe two things, and they're
Okay.
sort of similar and separate. So I agree with Laura. This is hard work, and we do it because we love it and we believe in it. And I think for you know, I am a white cisgender woman, and I am not experiencing that trauma in the same way, the violence in the same way, and I'm very aware of that. And I would say that the experiences that I have in academia or in research, I have found trusted, loving people that I can pour my heart into and who lift me up when sexism happens or something like that. And so I think finding your people is really critical to navigate those spaces, and that's just a reality. I think the other thing about research is that it's research, but there's ways to take research and make it into there's just as Laura said, there's certain things that we just got to do, but then there's also these amazing things we get to do. I mean, Miss Mouthy was part of the research. It was key to the research, and so finding that piece that you know uh, Jaleesa's on here. I mean, Team Abad is part of the research,
Mm-hmm.
right? This
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't happen without that. And so finding those things that you love and we can craft things around it, I think is the key part. So, you know, to hold true and think through where do you want to be and make this get you where you want it to be. Those are my two things.
Oh yes. I'm gonna stay consistent in what I love about when we've been able to like what came out of kicking it with the girls was when I realized that we as trans women can't be the like answer to our own problems and we cannot yield continually to do the work while experiencing these things. But also know that sometimes I'll use myself for example. I wasn't ready to do research. I did not ever see myself as a leader. And to be able to like be called in into something that impact and change so many trans women lives, I'm love that I've been at. So whoever is about to come on, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to like not know everything, but know that it's going to impact somebody's life and they're going to be appreciative that you're on this team and you're doing this work to be able to like change the world or even just provide a space where women can gather and come for a meal. It is the intentionality versus impact that's going to always shape how we do this work. And so yeah, with that being said, I love y'all like wholeheartedly. I'm gonna be around, but
Oh yeah, you're not getting
yeah,
rid of
I
us.
got some
You're a
good news.
friend for life.
Yeah, I got some good news to share with y'all when we get off the air. So some things that's coming up, y'all. Pride is this weekend. Make sure y'all come out in Ferndale and y'all come and be in festivities. I will be out there. I actually should take some materials for the university out there. So definitely come be in support. You can ask me more questions about what my experience was like in research and with the ladies and all of that. And let's get you in your position. Let's get you doing research. So it's your girl, Miss Mouthy. Even when you what? Don't see me, you hear me. Till next time, bye.